Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the pWo Cast. If you enjoy this episode of the pWo Cast, you can check us out on YouTube at pWo Cast, or you can find us on Spotify or any other place you can listen to a podcast. If you enjoy us so much, you can follow us on Twitter at official pWorder, or you can follow us on Instagram at pWo Cast. That being said, I hope you enjoy the show. So it's gotten to the point where I'm basically sending James you up texts to record.
That was exactly it.
I literally was sitting here listening to our first episode 0, which just released as of time of recording. And I was like, I'm bored. We should record a podcast.
And I said, you know what? Hey, I'm bored too. Let's do it.
Why not? That's how every podcast should be recorded. It should never be planned, never anything organized or anything. Just sending you up texts at any time of day.
I was gonna say you should, when it comes to podcasts, like scheduling them and putting them on a certain day, that is like kind of taboo in a way if you think about it. Like all podcasts should be sort of spur of the moment. Like if they're just scheduled things and people get into a routine, they could become a little too scripted.
I think it depends on who the people are, because like, for example, one of my favorite podcasts to listen to is the Gus and Eddie podcast. And those guys, they record on a specific day. They have a specific time they record, but it's also basically the same thing that we do. We're just talking for an undisclosed amount of time.
Exactly.
And like that works for them, but that probably wouldn't work for me, because then I'd spend the whole time thinking, okay, what am I going to talk about at this time? And everything.
Yeah, I think podcasts are definitely the most chill when both people come into it with an open mind and they have natural conversational skills, and they can just it really is like a competition in a way. A podcast is to just see like how long two people can string along an audience before they click off and find something more productive to do with their day.
Oh, absolutely. For anyone who doesn't like wrestling, I'm going to talk about wrestling for a little bit. You can skip this part. I don't know when it will come back, but I wanted James. Do you know about what happened on AEW this past Wednesday?
I do know what happened on AEW.
Well,
I saw the clip. I was so excited.
Well, the clip about Sting or the clip about the end of the world title match?
The clip about Sting. I saw Sting come in.
So at the end of the world title match, at the beginning of the world title match, Don Callis, who's an executive over at Impact Wrestling, TNA, he's on commentary because he like lives with Kenny Omega, who was fighting for the title. And then Don Callis helped Kenny cheat to win, and they ran out. And on their way out, some dude was like, hey, why did you do that? What happened? And Don Callis was like, find out on Tuesday at Impact Wrestling.
That's great.
So apparently, if the comparisons to WCW that people were throwing at AEW weren't already enough, now they're working with TNA.
That's fantastic that they're trying to like grow both companies' viewerships, and they're still not even gonna touch WWE for a little while at least.
Well, so AEW is always back to back with NXT, right?
Yeah.
And this week in viewership, they beat them out by like 300,000 views.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. AEW usually beats NXT when they go head to head. Last week they tied, I think. But apparently a lot of people were really excited. I'm sure a lot of people turned on after Sting appeared.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's always tough to try to find that balance of bringing in old stars and letting new talent grow. What it would come down to, for me, it really just has to be a person by person basis, like who is this one guy we want to bring in, and is he worth it?
Right. I mean, that's how wrestling works sometimes,
Exactly.
Anyway, enough about wrestling. No one wants to hear about that. We already had a episode named wrestling,
That is true. Wrestling has been a pretty common theme for us throughout these first two podcasts.
Yeah. I don't think we talked about it as much on the last one.
Yes, that's true.
which is good. We talked a lot about childhood.
Yes, I was just gonna say we talked a lot about the memories that scarred us and made us who we were.
Speaking of memories that scarred us and taught us to be who we are, so you want to talk about the game show for a little bit and our experiences with that?
I'm
Obvi-
down. Let's do it.
Obviously, I'm joking about the whole scarring thing. That
Yes.
was an exaggeration, of course. Uh, so how many times have you been on the Devoid Entertainment game show now?
At this point, it's either 5 or 6, I
Yeah,
believe.
and it's the game show is weird because it's kind of hard to be good at it.
It is. There's no prep work you can do
Right.
for it. Like most of the other game shows, like on TV or whatever, they're either trivia or word puzzles, or they're luck based, or they're survey questions. This, you don't know what you're going to play when you go into it. All you know is you're going to be playing a game show, but you have no clue what the games are. So you just have to have an open mind and just be ready for anything.
Right. And even then, like, even if you kind of have an idea of what games generally go on every episode, you have no idea what the topics are going to be.
Oh yeah.
Like, Triv and Let Die, the topics could be anything from, like, Adam Sandler filmography to, like, presidents of the United States.
Or like European countries or African capitals,
Right.
just
The,
be
o-
geography.
the only way you can truly prepare for the game show in total is probably mindlessly scrolling through eBay.
Mindlessly scrolling through eBay and mindlessly scrolling through Netflix in hopes
Mm,
that you find just some god awful movie and
right.
you remember the synopsis of it.
Yeah. Oh my god. There's so many bad movies on Netflix.
I think the one that tops my list is Christmas with the Cranks.
I have not watched that. Is it bad?
Okay, I know what you're doing right after this podcast. It is fabulously awful is how I will describe it. It is a like semi all-star cast, like it's people you've heard of or they know people you've heard of, and it's just not a good movie.
Oh,
Like who's the cast? Tim Allen is the lead guy, and this is 2004. So there's Tim Allen, there's an older but not white hair yet Jamie Lee Curtis, and then there's uh, a fat Dan Aykroyd stars as like the lead neighbor, like of the family. I call him the lead neighbor because like he's sort of like the de facto neighborhood president in a way.
whoa,
Like he's
gotcha.
always going around and shaking hands and checking in on everyone, and it's like his neighborhood.
Yeah.
Those guys. There was just so many things wrong with this movie.
You know what my favorite bad Christmas movie is?
What?
Did I ever make you watch Rodeo and Juliet?
I don't think so.
It is technically under the Christmas section on Hulu, and I think it might actually be too bad to even be a Hallmark movie. It's
I don't think that's possible.
a girl, you'll never guess, a city girl moves to the country and falls in love with a guy, but also a horse. But also, she wants to go back to the city, but she doesn't want to leave the guy or the horse.
She actually has to make a freaking choice.
And the main
No.
side character, whoever plays that, I'm sure she's probably gotten better since that movie came out. But it's genuinely some of the worst acting I've ever seen.
Yeah, I would say if your movie revolves around like a character making a simple life choice, it's probably not a very good movie.
No, no, definitely not. I think the only time I think where that trope played off well was Shrek 2.
Yes.
Because Shrek had to make a choice. Did he want to be beautiful forever or did he want to be Shrek?
And he made the choice to be Shrek,
He made
which in the minds of DreamWorks execs meant more money.
Yes. And was the right choice if you ignore the fact that they made Shrek 3.
Yes, and Shrek Forever After.
Nah, let's
Ch-
get it.
Chimmy,
Let's get into this.
Chimichangas.
Let's get into this, shall we? I think Shrek Forever After is the second best movie in the franchise,
I think it's the
behind
third
Shrek
best.
behind Shrek 2.
I say 1, 2, 4, 3.
I think one of the things that really helps, because Shrek 4 honestly is like the perfect ending of the Shrek franchise.
Yeah,
If you and if you watch all of the Shrek movies in order, you really get to appreciate how good Shrek 4 actually is. Mostly because you're preceding it with Shrek the Third.
exactly. Shrek the Third does something that makes you appreciate a good Shrek movie.
Yes. What I love is that Shrek the Third is really childish.
Yes.
Shrek the Third, you know, it's moving away from the story that the first two Shreks told, and it's like, oh, Shrek, but oh, he's gonna have children now, and let's market towards kids and make the movie not any substance. But
And
then,
and yeah, and then there's just all these random cameos
right,
from like Julie Andrews is in that. And like Mary Poppins, why on earth would you make yourself a part of this fiasco? Like
r-
Justin Timberlake got involved, just
oh my
too many
gosh.
cooks in the kitchen.
But then you watch Shrek 4 immediately after, and it almost immediately addresses how childish Shrek the Third was by Shrek having this like crisis over like his own image and being like, I've become so diluted, no one's afraid of me anymore. I don't scare anyone. I'm childish to people now. And like that it's a really, honestly, it's a really emotional movie.
Oh, I love when directors and producers, people behind the scenes, use the characters as their mouthpieces. I think no one does that better than South Park. I
Mm,
I don't know how familiar you are with South Park, but um, the two creators at South Park, they love to have the characters like sort of say what we're all thinking
right.
about certain topics.
I like I've watched I mean of the popular opinion that the newer seasons of South Park is some of the best stuff they've done.
Agreed. I
I
actually agree
really
with that.
like all the Tegrity Farm stuff, and the like. It's sort of back to being like good social commentary, as to where
Yes,
for a bit it was sort of just, oh, it's these kids that swear, and they're swearing and they're kids, and Cartman is a terrible person, and that was it for a while.
I was gonna say South Park is at their best when they are commenting on social issues, and the thing I love about South Park is they really do try to make fun of everyone, like fairly equally.
Yes,
Like I always love, even if they're making fun of one side, like maybe a little bit more than the other, they
right,
still try to get around to everyone on
right.
certain issues.
Yeah, absolutely. Family Guy is sort of has sort of drifted from that. Family Guy also used to be really good at stuff like that, but it's sort of drifted away from social commentary like as a whole. Um and it's, I mean, I don't hate it, as I don't dislike it,
Yeah,
it's just a different show now.
it is, and I feel bad for what happened to Family Guy,
Mhm.
and what happened to The Simpsons. I mean, both of those
Yeah.
series just after a while got way too old. I think South Park is different because the creators, um, most of the time, a animated series becomes stale because there's just not much new content to
Mhm.
write for it. But when South Park uses the world as their script and what's going on in the world, there's always new stuff to write.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
I think that's a good lesson to other shows. When, plots become stale, you can try to use what's going on like
Mhm.
around you at that moment, and it's not stale because it's happening right now.
Right. The only show I think that does a bad job at that, and it's not because the show it's bad, it's because the people who are writing it right now are bad. Is SNL.
Oh yeah, no, I
Also, because for some reason they continue to cut Kyle Mooney's stuff, and he's the funniest guy on the cast.
yeah, I like him. I
He's
like him. He's good.
like one of the funniest guys on SNL. Period. Right now.
Yeah, and I think SNL, just being transparent, I think they've sort of fallen into the trap of making fun of one side more than another, and
Yeah.
it's pretty clear like their bias.
Yes.
But to be fair, the side they're making fun of, I think, is more warranted to be
Yes.
made fun of than the other side.
And it's funnier to make fun of too.
It is. It is.
It is a lot. Although one of my favorite SNL skits is the it was the time The Rock hosted, and it
The
was the
Rock
cold.
Obama,
Yeah, The Rock Obama.
one of my favorites too.
I love the bit they did when Obama was on, where it was just a guy in an Obama mask, and he took off the mask and it was Obama.
Oh, I just love um, all the celebrity cameos that SNL has now. Now,
Mhm.
granted, I like it and I hate it. I hate it because it doesn't let the new cast members shine through as much as I would like. You know,
Right. But like, who else is gonna play Joe Biden?
exactly. I really loved Woody Harrelson's version of him.
Yeah, but Jim Carrey has it down to like a T.
Jim Carrey is something else when it comes to impressions.
It's also just nice to see Jim Carrey on TV again.
That's true. I have missed my Jim Carrey recently.
I don't think he gets enough credit
No.
for the comedy he does, because it can be like very outlandish, obviously, but also like the Truman Show. It was like an incredible movie.
Oh, one of my favorite movies of all time. I
Abs-
absolutely love it.
Absolutely stunning. I've been there's this one YouTube channel that I watch semi frequently. It's called I'm gonna get the name wrong. Shafrillis Productions.
Oh
It's
my,
this guy, and he does videos about mostly like animated movies, like
yeah.
like Pixar and DreamWorks animated movies. And like watching those videos, I've come to appreciate certain movies a lot more. Like a movie I really need to rewatch is Megamind,
Oh yeah.
because like that movie is like I only watched it as like a kid, so I didn't really get it. But like from what it sounds like, it's like really deep.
Yeah, I haven't watched that in quite some time. I just remember like it focuses on Will Ferrell as a villain, and it is really cool when movies focus on a villain because most of the time they focus on more of a like traditional protagonist.
Right. And it's like the story is cool because it sort of subverts expectations of what you'd expect from a movie that stars a villain. Like like Despicable Me is kind of the movie that you'd expect a movie based around a villain would be like.
Yeah,
But Megamind really subverts your expectations, and like the villain is one of the coolest villains in all of all of cinema.
yeah, and I think it's cool how they will use some, I guess, trying to think of the word like maybe plot lines or techniques. They'll use certain techniques that they usually use for traditional protagonists, and they use them with a villain.
Yeah.
Like they get you to invoke that feeling of sympathy, with a villain, and that's always really cool when they can make that come full circle.
That's what I think DreamWorks does best, is the like getting you to feel during a movie. DreamWorks and their best example of that is the How to Train Your Dragon series. There's
Really?
so much emotion in those series. Like you really get to feel like what they want you to feel when you're watching that movie. And that's almost every DreamWorks movie except for Shrek 3 and Turbo.
Yeah. I mean, DreamWorks and Pixar. That's the dream right there,
Big
right?
big
Both of
two.
those guys.
Oh yeah. And Pixar's like Pixar's okay at it. I think this is going to be a hot take, but I think Up gets too much credit.
No, I was gonna mention Up. I think Up is a fantastic
I
movie.
think I think the first 20 minutes of Up is a fantastic movie, and then the rest is kind of boring.
I think if you watch the opening scene and you're not like crying at the end, you're inhuman.
Well, yeah, the first 20 minutes of Up is the greatest movie Disney's ever produced, and the last hour and 10 minutes is also there.
I love that. That's my favorite review so far.
Well, because it's true, honestly. Like, everyone talks about how great Up is, but it's because of that first, like, 20 minutes or so where you go over the life of Carl and Ellie's death. And, well, spoiler alerts if you haven't seen the first 20 minutes of Up by now.
Yeah, Ellie isn't a starring role in this movie, unfortunately.
No, no.
Just a if you want a good emotional like children's animated film, have you ever seen Coco? You seen Coco yet?
Coco is one of my favorite Pixar movies.
Yeah,
It's
agreed.
not
It
my
might
favorite
be.
Pixar
I
movie.
think it's second on mine,
Yeah.
second up, but it is fantastic. I remember I had to watch it in Spanish class,
Ooh.
and I was tearing up like near the end when he. Oh my god! Because when you watch a movie for the first time, and there's a scene. I won't spoil much, but there's a scene at the end of the movie where the like great grandchild is singing to Coco and oh, recuérdame. Oh, it's just
Oh,
it's too much, dude.
it's and that's the thing too. The song that like encompasses the whole movie, the "Remember Me," that song is beautifully written. I think one of the best songs Disney's ever come up with.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
so
I think
beautiful and it fits the whole story of the movie so elegantly.
exactly. I think um, music from children's movies can be underrated sometimes. I feel like a lot of times they're really good songs that just don't get enough credit. Like I learned of a really good song, "Lovely Day" by Bill Withers. It's one of my favorite songs of all
Oh,
time. I heard that in The Secret Life of Pets, and then I went out and I listened to the actual song, and that's what got me into Bill Withers. So
interesting.
it's good how sometimes soundtracks from different movies can sort of shape your musical tastes for the rest of your life.
Soundtracks and just not ignoring just the soundtrack, but the scoring behind the
Yes,
movies can
yes.
also be so much. Like that's one of the reasons why How to Train Your Dragons is such a great series because the scoring under it is incredible. Same thing, honestly, with the Kung Fu Panda movies.
I'll agree. Yeah. I mean, Jack Black is Jack Black.
Love the man.
Jack Black is a national treasure.
Absolutely, Jack Black is basically who I aspire to be. Like just some,
You
just some,
totally could be Jack Black.
just some
I
dude
can see
making jokes and singing songs with his buddies. What can get better than that?
I have you seen Jack Black's TikTok?
I sure have.
Oh my goodness. I
Oh,
don't know what video I like more, him doing WAP in the Spider-Man outfit or in just a Speedo.
have you seen the cover they did for Time Warp?
I
It was
saw
the
a little bit of it. I didn't watch much of it.
it was the Tenacious D cover of Time Warp. And of course Jack Black is going all out, high energy, crazy outfits and stuff. But then there's also like cameos from like Pete Buttigieg and like
What?
other random celebrities and politicians thrown in there. They did it. It was for I think they called it Rock the Vote.
Yes, yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
did it for that because it was also around Halloween time, so they figured it would be a nice thing. That is one of my biggest movies that I always want to recommend to people to watch, and it's one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. Is Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I still haven't seen it. I've heard of it though.
Yeah, it's for those of you who don't know, Jack Black and his friend Kyle Gass have a band, Tenacious D, and they're a metal band who makes like comedy metal, and it's hilarious.
Oh, yes, I will agree. Um, they have my favorite song is the one where Dave Grohl is the devil in the
Yeah.
music video.
Oh
Is
my
it?
god.
Is that tribute?
That's a tribute is the one that's like, this is not the best song in the world. This is
Yeah.
just a tribute.
This and they just play a bunch of excerpts from different songs.
Yeah, it's just this is we sang the greatest song in the world once upon a time, but we don't remember how it went. So here's this song instead.
They those guys really are funny, man.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Jack Black is one of the funniest people just that have ever existed.
It is funny like watching them age because as they go along, you just see them get like slightly chubbier and the beards just grow out slightly more.
God, his beard is huge.
His beard is huge, but I think he recently shaved it like a few days ago.
Probably. There's probably another Jumanji movie coming out soon.
Yeah, probably.
Probably got to start filming for that. Which
Exactly.
even then, like the first, I think that's another movie that doesn't get enough credit is the first new Jumanji movie because that
Yes.
movie is really funny.
Oh, it is really funny. And I remember being in music theory with you, and I really wanted to see the second one that came out in theaters because of how good the first one was, and because the second one may or may not have our Lord and Savior Danny DeVito, may or
Yes,
may not have him in that.
and isn't it Jack Black who plays Danny DeVito's character once they go into the Jumanji, or is it like Kevin Hart?
No, it's The Rock.
Oh yeah.
Dude, it the most of the movie is The Rock just imitating Danny DeVito. And it's fantastic. The Rock's just looking around, he's like, are we in Florida? I'm like, oh my god,
Oh,
it's everything I've wanted.
I still have to watch the second one, the second Jumanji new one.
I'm trying to remember. I think there was a girl that spawned into Jack. No, no, no. It's the football player that spawned into Jack Black's body. Because I remember he gets in the body and he's just like, "Oh man, I'm a fat dude."
Jack Black as the teen girl character in the first one was one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
I think it was funny, but I think it was also one of the greatest performances of acting I've ever seen. Like he sold it so well.
Oh, absolutely.
As far as comedy acting goes, it's not going to be anything that wins him an Oscar, but it's definitely not a bad portrayal whatsoever.
Oh, absolutely. So I'm going to cut this episode right here because you have to go do a thing 2 minutes
Yes, sir.
ago.
Yes, yes, I do.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. We will see you next time. Bam!